Hello everyone, welcome to Dot Hack. My name is Hatchet. I will be commentating with Zedzag. Say hello.
Zedzag, that is me. Hello everyone, I am Zedzag.
It might have been a bit.
Take this game apart.
You like to take this game apart and not actually know the speedrun route, so I'm not quite sure why you're here, but I guess moral support.
I do two things with this game. I take it apart and I do moral support.
I'm Synrey. I'll be running the game, hopefully not going overestimate, but I made it pretty generous for a reason, so we should be good. I guess whenever you two are ready.
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Alright, so time will start in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so I'm lagged. But immediately after starting the game, there's a cutscene which we have to skip with start, and then we have to press circle in order to skip an animation real quickly there, along with menuing through the text dialogue. On that screen, which we didn't get to see for very much, we read 2 emails because in order to enter the world, we actually have to read those 2 emails. There's only 2 emails in the Japanese version, and those are the only 2 important emails. The 3rd email was added to all the international versions. And now we're about to go through a tutorial with Orca, which is basically
a minute and a half of mashing. Yeah, it's just a minute and a half of mashing, so it's a really good spot to just kind of explain all of the stuff we'll be doing in the run.
Yeah, it's basically a fight.
Oh boy, where do we start?
So this is a game. Yeah. It's about a game.
And an anime series.
And a manga, I think.
There's a few mangas.
Yeah. And as soon as we get into this button check situation, we'll be coming up on our first enemy as well. And if Synrey is an absolute god, she'll 4-hit it and kill it in 4 hits. But if she's just
guaranteed a world record.
Guaranteed a world record, yeah. After that, we'll be introducing our first real speed up to the game, which is constantly spamming speed scrolls. Those will be used throughout the run at the beginning of every field area in the game.
Except one.
Except Hidden Forbidden Holy Ground, which it's actually slower to use a speed charm to get to the church than it is to not do so.
Alright, Goblin coming.
All bets are on 5 or 6.
Oh, it's 11 for sure.
22. I'm gonna go high.
Okay, so we're averaging about 12, 13 here.
8? Was that an 8?
3,
I don't know, you haven't done it yet.
6, 7. I counted 7. 7's pretty good, actually. 7's like, I think it's about statistically correct to be on 7 through 9.
It figures I would get a 7. I'm gonna get so much whack for that. Ah, jeez.
But that seems like the whole run. If God goes good, you know the run is good.
I mean, most of the time. Things are never good in this game.
You do have to wait until the GOT statue at the end of this dungeon to know if it's a good run or not, because if it's not double yellow candy...
Yeah, that also seeds the run. Like, that is going to be a thing I keep saying, that everything seeds the run. And you better believe it.
Everything seeds the run. Even the seeds. Like, the seeds seed themselves, it's great. Don't run this game. It's just
we're skipping
mess
another
of
cutscene here with start. And we're running through this 2-floor dungeon, which Orca would normally just one-shot everything. But this goblin upcoming, we're going to go ahead and use a skill, because Orca is very slow to get to the goblin, because we're just faster because we have the speed charm. But also, sometimes he just misses, and if Orca misses, then you just, lose time compared to using the skill.
Yeah, and then sometimes we miss, and then Orca misses, and then we miss again, and it's just a mess.
And that's a restart.
Accuracy tends to be statistically surprisingly low in this game.
I got exact exact perfect midline on got chest.
That's alright. Accuracy is statistically low in this game until we get to the things that we abuse to once again speed up the game. The blood potions that you can buy in the consumable shop in Makanu add considerable amounts of stats to your character. For Kite, for the attack buff, the physical damage buff, it's approximately 12.5 levels of stat gain. And for the accuracy buff, it's 10 levels. You actually gain 15 entire accuracy from a hunter's blood.
It's actually ridiculous. It makes the run fast. It's just, it would be just so much extra, like, incredibly
grinding
slow.
Or just like, yeah, just trying to find better equipment and stuff like that. Another thing to note is that accuracy, alongside like preventing misses because you roll higher with your higher accuracy, actually does increase the amount of average damage that you do.
Right.
The damage range of your attacks are lessened.
Yeah, I just did trades. I got Cossack Leader and then Nijikado spawned immediately afterwards because go figure.
Nice.
We have a couple of chances to get those, but before the start of the first actual dungeon, we want to get a pair of swords called Laugh Blades and one of 3 gloves, either the miner's gloves, the fishing gloves, or the smith's gloves. There's quite a few people we can go for who have one or both items, and we just get them because one, the Laugh Blades are just a really nice damage upgrade and have a really good skill on them, and we get the gloves because we need them later, and it lets us trade the leather gloves we start with for a item we need for most of the run.
Called the wristband, and we're going to throw the leather gloves in the first mist spring we encounter in order to get that item. It's going to downgrade that item to a light armor set. It's not really a downgrade, they're at the same tier, it's just going from medium armor to light armor. But it has Juke Ram on it, which is a Rama spell of the wood element, which is going to be very good against the types of enemies that we fight quite often.
Do we want to talk about what elements are in this game? That was something that always caught me off, how we have wood in there. Normally it's like grass or wind. That's pretty typical.
Yeah, they kind of went more off of Chinese elements to include wood in there, the 5 Chinese elements. But there's not really a steel element unless you count your weapons. So yeah, there's Vac and Ru, which are fire and water, which are opposed to each other. And in every version other than the Japanese version, if you use the opposite elements against each other, you have a chance to create an elemental hit, which is basically critically striking with that element, which is something that we'll be abusing throughout the run.
Do you know what the multiplier is on that? Because all I know is it's a lot.
I'm pretty sure it depends a lot on the enemy's stats. Like, the things that we start using that on are like rock heads and stuff, and they'll have 0 wood. And if you have 0 of an element and you get hit with that element, it's a huge multiplier on itself. But then also it's just the base multiplier, I believe, is times 2 for elemental hits, or maybe it's 1.5.
Yeah, it's a lot, is basically the... So, another thing I kind of neglected to... Well, I wouldn't say neglected, but Hatchet was explaining the elemental stuff. But a lot of the run is going back out into the desktop interface and looking at the board posts, looking at your emails. So a huge chunk of learning to run is just remembering at what points do you need to log out and check emails and check board posts and vice versa.
Yeah, you have to hit a lot of different triggers to advance the plot.
Yeah.
And a lot of those triggers are actually like mandatory, even if you cheat to go into like areas ahead of schedule. You need the previous triggers or else things just don't spawn.
Yeah, this game is incredibly solid. like, there are no real glitches in it at all.
Oh,
So,
even when
at
you
the-
force a glitch, I've tried underflowing the equipment slots to change your gear to like 255 from 0, and it handles that. It takes it like a champ, and it gives you like negative stats, but it still works.
So the area we're going to now, you're not going to know the words for it unless you watched, I think, was it Liminality or Sign that had
I
this?
believe it's Liminality's third commentary, which is kind of hidden. It's yeah, a lot of the things around these games were actually just spread throughout multimedia, and you had to find them. And this is one of those areas.
And the reason we do this area is because A, it's a fairly low level area, and with buffs it's just ridiculously easy to handle. And the second reason is because the God statue has a guaranteed drop at the bottom of it of Kageyuzan, which is a ridiculously useful chess piece that we use for most of the game. And I guess now we need to explain, well, spend like 20 minutes explaining data drain and why the heck ores are so important.
Okay, so before I get into that really quickly, I want to mention that doing the Kageyuzan dungeon first is a lot more consistent than doing the other dungeon first. However, it is very technically slower because you don't have Mistral with you, and Mistral can clear portals really quickly, and you don't have some other things that you can manage, like we bought 5 Hunter's Bloods and 5 Warrior's Bloods, and if you do the other section first, you can buy 1 Hermit's Blood, which is magical attack up, instead of 1 Warrior's Blood, and that winds up being faster for the 3rd dungeon we'll be entering. So now, data drain. Oh, this is a fun topic. Okay,
Oh
so
boy.
data drain is your main access to both cores and money in this game. A lot of people know that God statues can give treasures, and that's only true in the international versions of the game, not in the Japanese versions. But most of your money is going to be coming from data draining enemies, just because it's so available to you. Each enemy has 3 slots where it has items that will be randomly chosen from based off of your erosion rating, and 2 of those are going to be items, and the 3rd one's going to be a virus core. During the run, we are going to need a total of 6 virus core A's, 10 virus core B's, and 2 virus core C's. The next area we go to is going to force a virus core C on us, so we only need to get 1 virus core C from natural enemies, which is really nice. Now,
Yeah.
I mentioned erosion level, and erosion level is raised every time you data drain an enemy. It is raised based off of your level versus the enemy level, plus 11. So if Kite's level is level 1 and you data drain a level 1 monster, then you will be gaining 12 erosion at the end of data draining. This is something that we have to manage quite extensively throughout the run, because the lower that you have for erosion rating, the higher the chance you have of getting cores, which are very important to complete the run.
So basically, and we don't want to be going around just draining every enemy willy-nilly either. We want to be purposely picking on certain enemies because if they're too high a level, we basically just gain far more erosion that we can actually manage. So, you know, we've just got to be careful, basically. I just entered the first... Yeah. So I've just entered the first, actually, mandatory dungeon of the game. The boss at the end of it is 90% of the reason why getting Kageyuzan first is just an infinitely more safe strat, because he has a magic spell that, if you do not have Kageyuzan, will one-shot you like 80% of the time if it hits. So it's just infinitely safer. And now I'm throwing the leather gloves into the spring that we got earlier through trades to get the wristband. which the game, as Hatchet mentioned earlier, the game says it's a downgrade, but really it kind of isn't.
The most important thing to look on in equipment in this game is first stats. You want to look at stats quite extensively because, like I mentioned, having something like a +5 stat bonus is 12.5 levels for Kite. And then the second most important thing is just elemental typing on skills. It's very important to elemental type your attacks against certain enemies in the game.
Did we explain the plot at all?
Oh, sure. Actually, well, this is one of the things that's kind of like counterintuitive to a lot of players. A lot of players will think, okay, I'm upgrading my skill level, it's going from level 1 to level 2. This is clearly a great upgrade, but really it's not. It's approximately the same as going up to, like, relevant stat. So if you go from level 1 Vac Dawn to level 2 Vac Dawn, which is, I think, I can't remember what it's called. It's like +2 magic attack. It's not a huge upgrade at all. So if your stats are actually getting lessened by the quote-unquote upgraded weapon, then it's not worth upgrading.
Yeah, if you're looking at upgrade, like if you're looking at weapons in this game, you definitely want to be looking at more than just what base stat boosts are, because you also want to be looking at what the elemental boosts or weaknesses of any particular equipment item are as well.
Yeah. Elemental values specifically are a lot more important against things that are weak against them, and they're still kind of okay against things that aren't. They're about a 2-to-1 ratio with magic attack, with magic attack being 1 in that situation.
So I just did a spot of grinding there. Thankfully it didn't take too long to get a burning oil, which is entirely for safety reasons. One of the bosses later on in the run, Red Worm, is incredibly dangerous without it.
Just not taking any chances for the marathon, specifically.
I'm not Roy. I don't play things risky. Although I do have plenty of backup saves, so if something does go wrong, it should be fine.
So we're coming up on the first data bug here. Do we want to talk about that?
Yeah, okay, so data bugs are monsters that you absolutely have to use data drain on to kill. They will not die otherwise. Every enemy, including data bugs, has 2 values for getting a protect break, both in magical damage and physical damage. And we just generally want to be picking on whatever the lower of the 2 is. In Headhunter's case, that's physical defense. Yeah, so that went fine. He didn't even use any Zot on me at all, which is a magic spell that is incredibly dangerous.
He did use it on Black Rose, but Black Rose uncharacteristically dodged it.
I wasn't even... He used it on Black Rose and it missed. That's rare.
Yeah.
So the character we're meeting here is Mistral. She's a Wave Master, which is this game's version of a mage class. She's going to be a fairly important party member across the entire run, just because Wave Masters in this game have access to ridiculously powerful elemental magic, and we've already explained why elemental hits are so incredibly important in this game.
It's not specifically important to be a Wave Master. The main benefit that Wave Masters have over other classes is that they just have a much higher SP pool, and then, like Synrey said, like, the later equipment, you get a lot better equipment for a lot better spells. But in the case of character AI, for our party members specifically, it's kind of important that we have Wave Masters, because they don't just like run up to enemies and go melee them, and that's kind of useful.
They just stand there and wait for you to tell them to do something.
So, adding Mistral to our party immediately and going into the Heroes dungeon.
We want to trade with Mistral immediately to get Sutetsu, which is another ridiculously good. Just Ryan V forgetting how to menu for a second there. Is not a ridiculously good weapon that we use for most of the rest of the game up until we get a weapon called Hell's Gate later on.
Yeah, so Tetsu is insanely strong for the...
What? Go.
So Tetsu's insanely strong for the level that we get it at. It's approximately equivalent to the Bloods. I think it has a little bit less accuracy, or rather it has a little bit less accuracy upgrading from your previous weapon, Lath Blades, than a Blood would give you. So it's...
Yeah, so...
It's just destroying everything.
Yeah, that, and it's got a ridiculously cheap skill on it called Tiger Claws that is a multi-hit AoE attack, which we just use to shred absolutely everything in this dungeon.
And
until I need to start going for cores. Yeah, we use it for a while.
Don't worry, Lath Blades will come back up, and it will be due to those elemental hits that I was talking about earlier. Hopefully, we get to show off the full power of the Lath Blades this run, but we'll see.
I mean, I hit level 4 early, so I might be good on level at least, but I guess it depends on if Holy Sat decides to be a prude.
That
we'll
and
also swap down to a weaker weapon depending if we want to really data drain something, we just hit it too hard.
Yeah, there's a couple points in the run where that's actually acceptable to do. Just because you're going through so many enemies, you're doing already tremendous damage, but this way you're not one-shotting them, and this way you can data drain them, which is a main benefit of using Kageyuzen route. Kageyuzen is completely optional, but for RTA it basically isn't.
A slight issue, I think I've got 1 core at the moment, which, you know,
Is that just 1B or 1A? No, don't mean 1 core, right?
I don't know, I'm really, like, hilariously bad at keeping count of my cores despite how important they are in the run. I just heavily rely on the couple of points in the run we get where we can check how many cores we have without actually wasting any time. I've got 1 or 2.
I used to keep track of all the cores and all my erosion just in my head, and that was insanely difficult to like keep track of. Was also menuing for you know, combat encounters. So I did just take to doing that, where I wouldn't keep track of my cores except at those menus until it was important.
So now we have the best party member in the entire series, including Jiu. Pyros.
With the best theme.
With the best theme.
I'm sorry, Gardenia isn't part of this run, though.
Exactly, so she's out by default.
But Gardenia is the best character.
I mean, I can argue for hours about this, but I won't.
I'm mostly doing this for the sake of buying time. Don't worry.
Alright, so this is the first, I mean, we kind of did a shopping trip already, but this is the first kind of actual shopping trip where stuff changes up based on how much money I have, which is a lot because I'm not getting any cores, so I have a lot of weapons to sell. Gonna keep usually I would sell the level armor, I'm just gonna hold on to it for safety. That is a lot of money.
So the interesting trigger here is we had to go out to our email to get this power-up campaign email, where the admins are trying to trick Kite into deleting his character because they don't want the Twilight Bracelet in the game because it's clearly a cheat hack item that's not going to help the game, it's just going to cause chaos.
And potentially put more people in the comas.
Potentially.
Because we completely forgot to explain the plot.
This game has a plot?
Not during the speedrun, it doesn't. We skip all of it. But, yeah. So...
Watch
Twilight
Sign!
Bracelet... Watch Sign. Pretty much. The Twilight Bracelet was given to us by...
Speedrun that one too?
Oh no.
Speedrun the anime? Yeah, let's do it. I can press skip faster than you can, I believe in myself.
No, you need to get a VHS tape. And you need to jam a pencil in the end and spin it until the tape runs out as fast as you can.
Oh no. Alright, actual serious talk. This is one of the more dangerous parts in the run because this is a solo dungeon with just Kite. So if terrible, horrible things happen, we don't have any party members to back us up. And terrible, horrible things can happen here.
Yet?
We have seen a couple wild
yeah,
effects.
I've had a couple.
They haven't been that...
It's just been stat
substantial.
downs. Yeah, it's just been, I think it was like magical accuracy down or something. Nothing
So,
too...
I don't think we fully explained this, but every time that you use data drain, you have a percent chance equal to half of your erosion value to wind up having one of 16 different random effects based off the tier of infection that you're at. So if you're at red infection, these things get quite terrifying.
If you're at red infection, you have a risk of just game overing right there and then.
Yeah, it's like a 1 in 32, because you have to pass the 50% chance in order to do it, and then you have to pass the 1 in 16. Other things include, like, losing an item for minus 1000 XP, so basically level down.
There are a couple of beneficial ones, like you can get HP and SP recovery on all, but they're vastly outnumbered by the sheer amount of ones that we absolutely do not want under any circumstances, especially against the boss of this dungeon, which is a data bug, so we have to drain it.
Or to
The scariest part about data bugs is just because you do have wild effects that pop up every now and then.
The boss of this, I do have a safety save before and after this dungeon, because the boss of this dungeon is one that can just end the run, under, like, you know, there's nothing you can do about it, it can just end if you get a particularly bad wild effect during the first drain.
Yeah.
That being said, I've seen you get a full heal midway through the fight, at which point you can just go, oh, okay, I'm winning now.
It's not a very common occurrence either that this happens, especially with the way that we tackle the solo dungeon. It would basically be, I believe the data bug's level 7 and you're level 6 or 7, often
6
by the
or
time
7,
you finish
depending.
This. Yeah, so it's only 11 for erosion, so it's only a 5.5 chance of happening in the first place. So it's not common in the slightest. And that, generally speaking, is the only way that you can end your run. His fire breath is physical damage, despite being fire breath. A lot of people assume it's magical. So
I got caught out by it when I was first playing the game.
But yeah, it's physical and fire damage. So the data bug itself doesn't have the fire element, but once you data drain it, it gains fire element, so it hits a lot harder. So as long as you have some amount of physical defense, Synrey changed to a better physical defense setup, even just to protect yourself from that.
Yeah. Between having the leather armor, which you usually do not keep on you, and burning oil, I should be fine, even if I do get one of the aforementioned bad wild effects.
Yeah, it only did 73. If you keep your normal gear on you through this fight, which is how to use in wristband and all that stuff, without the oil, it does something like 140 damage maximum. So you just
heal before popping the data drain, just in case.
Just in case, yep. That's perfectly fair.
And when we go to heal, we have a healing spell,
Yeah.
but we absolutely never
So yeah,
use
he
that.
just did.
Never use
For reference, the last time he used Fire Breath on me, it did 75 damage. That time it high rolled and got 102. So, you know, imagine going into that without the leather armor and without the burning oil and, you know.
Without just levels in general.
Yeah, it's bad.
But yeah,
Um,
one of the interesting balance decisions in the game, which Zed was alluding to, is that items in this game, specifically items, consumable items, are instant cast, whereas spells and scrolls are not. So that's something to manage, and that's why rep isn't used throughout the run, because it just has so much downtime on it.
Ref would be fine if it was, like most of the offensive spells where the animation kind of syncs up with the effect of the spell going off, but the thing is, with Ref, the animation of you casting it has to complete in its entirety before the effect goes off. So it's just kind of completely next to useless. Alright, first core check. I'm pretty sure I've only got one.
No, you've got more.
I'll pay attention.
I guarantee it.
3. I'm really bad at counting.
That's 3 times as much.
That's about average. Normally you'd want like 4, maybe 5.
4 or 5, it's not bad.
But 3 is, yeah, that's acceptable. I mean, I have had runs where I've completed the run without having more than 1 core at this point. It's not like it's impossible, it's just up to
I think
RNG.
my record, I think my record was I got up and through leveling area with a single A core, and then I was just like, why am I even still doing this? This run is dead. Nah, 3 is perfectly acceptable. Normally I would want it to be a bit higher than that, but the thing is, we get so many chances for cores later on in the run where we can just kind of spam data drain for a while because we're so over-leveled that, you know, it doesn't exactly matter. Data drained Redworm twice at the end there is because he is a C-core sized enemy, and if we're lucky we can just get the second C-core we need right there and then, and it's all well and good. Most of the time that doesn't happen.
I would definitely prioritize level 7 over data training here. I saw you going for the data train, I was
I just checked it. I was like,
Okay.
So,
I wasn't counting your experience, which normally I would have during a run, but...
So what I'm doing here is I'm honestly not sure how many times I'm going to try before I give up, but never mind, I got it. We just keep hitting that skeleton over and over again until we get a drop called Holy Sap, which just kind of makes the boss of this dungeon somewhat of a pushover.
So Holy Sap is basically the same as the Blood Potions, where it increases a stat, but the elemental oils, as I've taken to calling them at least, give plus 10 to a specific element, and you can get them only from destructibles in dungeons like this one. I wouldn't use Juke Rom on these, I'd use Tiger Claws. 2 Tiger Claws takes them out. Normally mimics are weaker to magical damage than they are physical.
Oh, well that would be why it wasn't doing any damage. I had, leather armor on still. This is why I don't do safety strats, it's like I forgot about it. Normally, Juke Rom just shreds them, I find, but, you know, that's my own fault there. I've got plenty of Mage's Souls though, so it's not too much.
Yeah, you are rich. That is true.
Yeah, so, Redworm's just a regular enemy now.
Yep.
Oh my god.
But we are higher level and all that fun stuff, so...
Passion Money Millionaires, I'm gonna have like so many Mage's Souls at the end of this run.
C-cores are actually...
C-cores are the worst.
Ideally, we're only looking to get one more C-core, and then hopefully never see C-core monsters again, just because they only come in packs of 1, which means we get less XP, and we can't even drain them for, you know, useful cause at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, the Thousand Trees later do drop a somewhat useful item, but so do an A-core enemy we'd be going for anyway, so...
Yeah, and that item isn't even, like, necessary to the run, it's mostly just,
it's safety.
If something happens, then this is better than not having it, but it's not, like, something you would go out of your way for, because that thing happening also is pretty low odds.
It's random. It's a very specific enemy spawn that can only happen on, is it 1 or 2 floors of the last dungeon?
It's the very last floor, it can only happen one. It replaces,
Oh, right, okay, that was...
Oh, nice. Yeah, okay, so we got to see
that's why we get Holy Sap. Because otherwise we do like 100 a swing?
Something like that, yeah. 160.
The first one whiffed, but the second one was a elemental crit, so it just did the rest of the damage we needed right there and then. So yeah, we swapped back to left blades for that because 1, Orca Dance, and 2, they've just got a higher wood stat up than Sotetsu does. We leave them on for the next area as well because we are going to be spamming magic for a solid 10 minutes.
10 minutes. 10 minutes if you're unlucky, I think. Otherwise we need to rethink the
You have not seen
again.
Some of my practice runs.
Oh, that's fair. You could always do Chronicling Destroyer's Melody instead. It's effectively the same, but you have
I don't
to
even
use those
remember
easier.
that. I don't even remember the layout of that one though.
Oh, that's fair.
I'd have to take a fairy orb in with me. So just the only reason we log in there is because there's a cutscene. Exactly one cutscene that we just immediately skip and then immediately log out again, but it's a flag, so we have to hit it. Which gives us more board posts and an email that lets us...
We're meant to be in.
Yeah, at the moment we are level 7, we are going into a level 28 area.
And we're gonna come out at level 20.
It's going to all of 5 to 7 minutes, depending on how lucky I am.
Depending on
every
some
enemy
luck,
that we
some
take
skill.
down is going to give us half a level though.
Depending on a lot. There is a lot that can go wrong in leveling area.
We had leveling areas before that were much more consistent and much easier. I mentioned one, Chronicling Destroyer's Melody, but they are just slower due to the fact that
honestly
these are
find this one more consistent than Chronicling Destroyer's Melody. Really? Because Chronicling Destroyer Melody has the 2 portals right outside, and if you just do circles in the middle of them and then pull them, they will group 100% of the time. And then I had been working on routing that one until Finn decided this new leveling area is better. And it is better. It is actually faster, because these are just slower. I cannot navigate to save my life, so that's probably why I find this one slightly easier.
Possibly. Yeah, once, if I get the Ancho on the first try for the Metal Goblins on the first routing, then, I'm
gonna have a lot of chances.
Right, but I mean, like, in Chronicling Destroyer's Melody, I generally use both the dungeon entrance and the Mist Spring to navigate areas, so using the Mist Spring immediately is correct, because you get more magic attack and the same amount of...
What is this pull? Oh my god. Please, why? This is too many enemies, Mistral's dead. This is leveling area. Welcome to leveling area.
It's going okay, so... Oh, the Metal Goblin got out somehow. Nice.
Yeah, no, okay, that's fine. Normally you wouldn't want them to wander off like that, but in this case it's not too bad because it just lets me take this blades out and then get Mistral back up, and then it all should be fine. Theoretically.
I mean, there's also the option of logging out if you have more of the buffs. I know I was over by magical buffs, so you can just leave the area and reset.
Yeah. That wasn't too bad. I mean, I've certainly had worse starting pulls there. Kind of unfortunate that, I mean, I just kind of opted to not go for any drains on the goblins there, just because if I did push my luck and it did end up bad, Mistral wasn't up, so she wouldn't have been able to resurrect me. So the reason we don't pop speed... Oh my god, I used it on kite. The reason we don't pop a speed charm at the start of that dungeon is because there's a pack that spawns directly in behind us, and they're basically already aggroed. And the amount of time the speed charm takes to cast, it would just leave us wide open. I believe that's the reason anyway.
Yeah, it's just like not safe because you're immediately in combat. At the very least, Mistral normally dies if you do that.
Alright, this is a slightly more manageable pull than last time. I'm particularly bad at keeping these guys packed up. I should probably find a better way to go about it.
So, I'm not sure if I'll explain this to you every time that I explain it, but if you do just like circles in one area, the enemy captain actually like waypoints to your location, so they will converge on that location until their waypoint line runs out, and then they'll go to the next waypoint. So it's not hard at all to group enemies if you're able to find a central location that's safe to do that in. But the problem is then finding a safe location, especially in this zone specifically. It's a lot harder. I would target metal goblins at this early point. Maybe you'll be fine, but that's just because you're going to need the SP from leveling up.
Alright, okay. Sure, got it. So, we want to be draining metal goblins here because they drop a weapon called Onshore that we trade in at the mist spring at the end of this area for the weapon we use for most of the last chunk of the game called Hell's Gate. The problem with draining the goblins here is they are so much higher level than us that we can't go too cuckoo nutty with it, because otherwise we'll just kind of go asking for it. But, you know, being this game, there's a good chance you'll just get something you can't use, like an A-Core or the rare drop Jinsaron instead of an Onshore. I think I've gotten all 6 A-Cores in here before.
Yeah.
At least once.
It's really a shame when that happens.
But I don't have to worry about data draining for the rest of the area now.
The area. Yeah, and we're already level 17, so there's not very many monsters that we have to kill remaining until we're level 20.
I mean, this is a pretty low spawn in terms of pull though, so I might need to...
Right. I think you should be fine at 430 each with the lowest enemy, which is the goblins, I think. I think goblins are lower than snakeoids. Maybe they're the same.
Alright. Yeah, should be fine. So we use fortune wires in this dungeon, and if we have any spare, I tend to just pop them in the dungeons after this area as well. Just because the items that drop out of the blue chest at this point are actually pretty decent, so...
They're worth a lot of money. Yeah, we don't pick up the yellow chests normally. It's normally a waste of time. Most of the time when you pick up a yellow chest, you're getting 1,000, not 1,000. If you got 1,000, you would pick them up. But you would get like a 100 GP scroll for the most part. There's also 2 slots that are just armor or weapons, but you're pretty lucky when that happens, and you actually get one of them. So the main reason we get to level 20, and 20 specifically, is because going further than this doesn't really change all that much, but getting level 20 specifically makes data drain a whole lot more manageable throughout the rest of the run.
Yeah, for the next few dungeons, we basically can use it a heck of a lot for no downside, because just the amount of erosion we gain is exceedingly low. That was a pretty good leveling area, even though I thought that second pool was incredibly sketchy and was gonna fall apart at any time, but it didn't.
Yeah,
somehow.
that wound up actually.
The first one, like, that went funky for some reason, but the second one, that stayed tight.
The first
Somehow.
one, I think, like, the one metal goblin on the one side was, like, just on the edge of
Yeah,
the AoE, and the slow one...
The metal goblins, honestly, the snakeoids are incredibly annoying because if they get you, they don't exactly do a whole lot of damage, but their skill locks you in place for a solid, like, 7 seconds, and at that point it just gives every other enemy time to just get up there and kill you. The reason the metal goblins and the curse blades are dangerous is because they are incredibly small and have a tendency to just kind of sneak out of the AoEs.
Yeah, so instead of switching to Hell's Gate, we're switching to Sutatsu here, specifically for something we mentioned earlier, where we're using the lower attack weapon in order to be able to data drain these hungry grass. As you saw there,
yeah, they
they
just barely survive a Sotetsu swing, and Hell's Gate just does so much damage that it would just outright kill them.
Now, the reason why a lot of people don't like doing this to Hungry Glass is because, as you see here, 2 of our allies are now sleeping. And theoretically, all 3 members of the party can be sleeping. So, it can get somewhat risky. Normally, Hungry Grass don't, like, actually attack you or anything, but
it's not. It's only really risky if there's a guardian or one of the crabs that I forget the name of in the area with you. The Hungry Grass themselves don't hit particularly hard, so speaking of all 3 of us sleeping, Mistral will not cure the sleeping status because she is on low HP, and party members prioritize HP over status, even though status is probably more dangerous 90% of the time.
More specifically, they prioritize using spells and SP over using items. So, Rep is a spell, so that is more important for them to cast than using their precious items, despite them having basically infinite items. Every time you go back to town, it refreshes their inventory. They start with 10 health drinks and then 5 of both antidote and restorative, I think.
It's 5 or 10 health drinks, I don't remember.
I believe it's 10 health drinks. Maybe it's 5 health drinks, maybe it's just all 5s and I'm misremembering.
I feel like Scathe Dungeon would be a heck of a lot less scary if it was 10. I do need a sequel. I kind of completely blanked on that.
Yeah,
my erosion was up at my erosion was up at green anyway, so well not green, but so that's, I mean, we kind of do want declaws from these guardians, but a Razor Axe isn't particularly too bad anyway because we can trade it to Kiros later for a yellow candy and give him a weapon that's better than the one he starts with.
Not only is it, like, somewhat better, it's not a whole lot better if I remember the stats offhand, but it comes with, an Earth spell, Gan Basher, I want to say?
Yeah, I think that's it.
And for one of the bosses later, they are weak to Earth, so a fully buffed Pyros, that is to say Apgon, which is Earth element, and both bloods, both physical bloods, he can just one-shot the data bug the way that we normally do.
Yeah, you don't need to take this portal. I just usually take it even in attempts because it's quick and usually worth it. Not this time. Yeah, you don't, and if you are going for, yeah, I am a bit worried about cores. There's still plenty of time to be fine on it, and I've got 2 backup areas that should be fine for... I mean, depending on how bad my cores are, I might just load a save at the end, but... we'll see how far we can get. Furious typing. Away!
Sorry about that. Yeah. So, something that getting Kageyuzen for the routing does is we took our level grinding section before this dungeon, which is kind of unfeasible in the case that we're not doing the Kageyuzen route, which then provides us with less cores. So the routing before everybody switched over to my Kageyuzen route was that you would do this dungeon first, then you would switch over to Delta server to get Elk, and then you would grind with both Elk and Mistral. Because without both of them, you actually just wind up running out of too much SP while killing things, and then you're stuck on no SP and they're not dead, so you don't get your levels.
Am I good on A cores? I lost count again.
According to Roy in chat.
Let me just check. Yeah, I've got 7. As I said, I am particularly bad at counting. So we... Not enough.
Well, the only person that can really use them is Kite, so I think they're worthless to everybody else.
What do you reckon an A-core tastes like?
Apples, obviously, because A is for apple.
So we disband our party there and just change servers because that triggers this cutscene with cat beasts, and I don't know how old Elk is in this game, but he needs an adult, and Mia is not an adult, she's a cat.
He thinks he needs the cat, though.
I mean, you're not wrong. So I do still need a C core, so I will be doing a bit of grinding in this area, but I won't need to... Well, not grinding,
The rest
draining.
of the enemies... Yeah, the rest of the enemies are all A-core enemies, so you can just use them to lower your erosion.
Yeah. And, you know,
The C
preferably
cores...
just...
As I, alluded to
I've forgotten
earlier,
the
C core
C
is...
core before.
It's honestly, not easy to get the large enemy cores, so C and F cores, because like we said before, they only spawn 1 per portal. And at that rate, on average, I think it's about 5 drains for a single core. Just like...
You know,
with the way that you handle erosion, anyway.
Minus a 75% chance because the game knows you need it.
Oh yeah, the desire sensor always kicks in.
This game knows.
Yeah. So when you need large amounts of F cores in mutation, for example, you need 5 of them because you need 6 of them for the run, but you get 1 from Scathe at the end of infection. So they give that to you at the start of mutation.
All right, God sap.
So you need to data drain 25 things in order to get the cores on average. So mutation winds up being a decent run up until that point.
Yeah, mutation
is... Up till that point.
Oh, it's a mess.
The difference between 2 hours and 30 minutes and 3 hours can just be F cores, basically.
It's kind of completely ridiculous. Yeah, I go for that pot for the memes, because if it does drop a holy sap, it makes the boss at the end of this dungeon a complete pushover. It never drops. Ever. Speaking of things not dropping.
But literally yesterday. Didn't it happen yesterday, or was it the day
It
before?
did happen yesterday, but I wasn't recording that run.
So did it actually happen, or...?
No.
I am so worried about C cores right now. Just
I am
it by
incredibly concerned. I'm probably... Oh... I mean, there are baby worms later, they have them, right?
Theoretically, I've never seen it.
You gotta go hard. Get it off.
Get it off of what? Oh, Woodstock. I could get it off of Woodstock.
Oh, yeah.
Now this is another point in contention. Another point of contention in the community is what weapon do you use on Snaker? I still maintain that Orchid Dance is more consistent.
I prefer Hell's Gate using Gale of Swords, using the Holy Sap, not Holy Sap, Mage Soul, and using Gale of Swords again.
I don't have a Major Soul and I don't have Holy Sap, so I went with Orchid Dance and it went pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Someone actually remind me to go for the drain on Woodstock because I will forget. Alright, so, second best area in the game coming up. It's Pyros 2. It does have theme music. How did you guess?
You only said second best, but then that leaves first best. Are you gonna point that out?
There isn't a first best. This game is bad.
Wow. I don't agree.
Are you just running it to spite it?
It's better than GU though. And I will stand by that opinion.
I agree with that 100% personally. At least like from a mechanical gameplay perspective.
GU is prettier and features a prettier boy as the main character.
But it's also got so much edge.
I just can't stand the way that the level scaling is basically the only thing that matters to damage in that game. It drives me up a wall that, like, equipment basically means nothing.
90% of the reason I hate, well, I don't hate GU. I like GU, it's just not as good. 90% of the reason I don't like GU as much is because the, like, UI is incredibly clunky to use.
Oh, that too. Especially, like, they do give you, like, a hot skill bar.
The hot skill bar is fine, but that's it. Everything else is bad. The magic system in that game got nerfed so hard in order to make you use Rengekis, and I hate it.
It's extremely nerfed. It's not as broad. There's not as many spells. There's not as many, like, tiers of the same spell. There's not really, like, any reason to use it outside of, I believe the third game you use, what's his face? The guy with the fans. I know his name.
Yada.
Yada. You use Yada to use, like, Zan something to, clear enemies faster.
Alright, so, in this dungeon there's technically a key item on the first floor. We skip by it, because it's just faster to sprite Ocarina route and come back in for it later.
I don't know if anybody's tested this since I initially tested it all that long ago.
I'm under the impression that it's probably only faster if you go for the god statue, but I'm going for the god statue. It's a marathon.
Or the god statue, or if you take additional portals because you want more fours.
I don't know what any additional portals in this dungeon are, so I'm just gonna not do that.
Okay.
I need to learn better backup
strat. If you went directly north, there was an additional portal, but that can also have nomadic bones or whatever in it. On floor 3,
the A-core enemies.
Yeah, the A-core enemies. On floor 3, if you go to the other wing, not the one with the remedy, there's one extra portal there. On the way to the god statue, if you go north before going to the god statue, there's another one there. And these are like the main ones I would take. But it is just slower to take them, because you might even run out of your speed charm by that point. But this
Yeah,
dungeon used to have like the entire run on its back, because this just has like so many B-core monsters, and up until this point you don't have very many options for B-cores. But changing to the Kakuyuzen route for RPAs especially helped that out, because White Eternal Light Pebble is existent in the route now, basically.
Yeah, I'm just gonna quickly double check how many vehicles I've got because I'm terrible at counting. I've only got 2, this is gonna be interesting. Is that okay? I couldn't tell if that was a gob or a sled dog based on how far down the health bar was. I mean, okay, consolation. Probably gonna have to grind for cores, but I am gonna be so loaded.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have like 30 mage souls. Use a mage soul every portal in the last dungeon and still be fine.
There's a triangle, and there's 3 points. You can only pick 2 of them. It's XP, level, money, and cores, and you can't have all 3 of them unless you're some kind of god.
I mean, you can get your levels first, and then you can hope for both the other 2. Which is what we do for the run.
Just hope you hit level 24 or 25 by Skate, basically.
25.
You should.
If you're 24, you should die unless you like low rolls, and he doesn't really do that because he has 100 accuracy.
I mean, that run I did yesterday was level 24, and it was, I mean, it wasn't fine, but I was, I think if you have all, I think if all of your slots have a 2+ defensive item on it, you can.
You can, it's not
Tank
consistent.
it, but he can still high roll and kill you, but at that point I was like, I'm this far, finish your run.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh my god, please don't die, you guys. Heros, no! Yeah, Shining Eyes are incredibly annoying because they have skill drain, which just kind of eats your SP. Is there jerks like that?
Yeah.
I have had a run where I've gotten to this point, both Pyros and Black Rose died on the last floor. I did not have any resurrects, so I had to walk all of the way back up.
Yeah, that's painful. That can happen. Very rarely, but it can. Most of the time it happens on floor 3, right? Because floor 3 has the goblin mages and
Sled dogs,
the
yeah.
sled dogs, without having like much in the way of other variety. So then the goblin mages give you magic defense down, and then the sled dogs just destroy you.
I'm gonna take the extra portal out front of the dungeon again as well, just to.
Are you taking the one behind the dungeon or the one on the hill? The one behind the dungeon is probably
The one behind the dungeon. I say it's in front. It's not actually in front, but. And it gave me 2 nomadic bones and a shining eyes group of them. At least one of these enemies is a V-core.
The others reduce your erosion.
Yeah, I can't complain too much. Hey!
Yeah, normally around this point, my preference to max out cores is I want that C core as fast as possible so I don't have to worry about it. And then I like to max out A cores after that so I don't have to worry about those. But
Yeah,
by this point, you kind of want 6 B cores because that's all you need until the final dungeon.
Yeah, if you have 6 B cores by this point and 5 A cores, you can technically push grinding off right until the absolutely last dungeon. The thing with A cores is that while we do technically need less of them, I feel like there are also less chances to get them, especially at the end of the game.
Especially when you're doing the thing where you want to go fast, so you kill a lot of them with AoE attacks like Tiger Claws or Swirling Dark.
Basically, having them still alive at this point just kind of, you know, I'd forgotten the word, never mind. Yeah, it just, like, equals more time loss because, you know, you're not just rinsing everything in 1 second, you're draining things.
Yeah, so as Roy mentioned in chat, anything that's not an A, B, or C core we get from the story, and we did get one C core from the story as well. But we're only worried about A, B, and C because we have to manually get those off of enemies.
So this is just another short shopping trip section. Black Rose wants to go into this area, but we'll try to go in and find out that we're down one of the aforementioned mandatory cores that the game throws at us to get into this area. But it's still a good chance to check how many I need. I'm at 5B cores, so that's not terrible.
One from this area. You need one from this area upcoming with Mistral, because otherwise you don't have another chance to get one before the next time we need.
Yeah, so it'll be...
Because Black Rose's area is all A-core enemies, and then the area before the next spending is all A-core enemies. So, either you're gonna have to take an extra area, or you're gonna have to get one in this dungeon.
I mean,
but
there
you
are
also
Menhirs.
want to drain the Woodstock.
Yeah, there are Menhirs, so maybe I'll get lucky.
Menhirs and the Phantom Ones, both.
Yeah, but they're a bit finicky to get a break on, I find.
I mean, theoretically, they have the same chances. But we actually, that's one of the things that I was never able to find and Finn was never able to find, is how it calculates this stuff. The only reason that we know for a fact that lower erosion is better, well, aside from circumstantial evidence and just testing and numbers supporting this, is there is a mail in the game from Helba that tells you that.
Yeah, I was about to say, doesn't the game just outright tell you?
Yeah, the mail from Helba does.
So this is just another solid minute or so of mashing. That dude's a mod. He's also a fisher, don't worry about it.
He's an admin, but yeah. Admins are more powerful than moderators.
Still can't do anything about the bracelet though, so we can't be that hot.
I mean, you're not wrong.
He's forcing an item onto you here. It's this kind of an upgraded version of the one that got given to us as a part of an event in quotation marks earlier, because the admins are trying to get rid of the bracelet. It doesn't work either. I'm not gonna... Just take my word for it, I'm not gonna use it. It just doesn't work, don't worry about it.
I'm so glad using the items isn't a trigger. It just takes a good 20 seconds to beep at you. And this is also the longest text dialogue in the game. Mashing through that.
Yeah, so hopefully I get another core here. As Hatchet said, I do have a few chances for it, but it's not great.
You could take you could take the two portals outside pretty easily too if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I stopped doing that because, well, for one, they're not necessary when you're trying to improve your personal best, and for two, enemies spread out really nicely in field areas.
It's kind of melee. I just don't do it because it's just kind of a pain in the ass, and it's very easy for Mistral or Pyros to die if you get the wrong enemies out here.
Yeah, other than that, I believe there's 3 portals on our way to the boss of this dungeon, so it's a pretty short dungeon. If we don't hit any chests, we'll have 3 portals worth of enemies to potentially get a B core from.
Now, I did forget for a few runs in a row that we do need to buff Pyros here, so I'm glad I remembered this time.
Yeah, I normally buff him at the very end of the dungeon, and the difference between buffing him and not buffing him, as long as you're giving him the Razor Axe, just not...
Yeah, it just increases the chances of him getting the one hit on the,
Yeah, he takes 2 hits otherwise, but it's not that big of a deal, it is just faster to have him buffed. I still don't know if you've given him the Razor Axe yet.
I have given him the Razor Axe.
Okay. I'm just like not sure what that model looks like.
What were you saying about chest spawns?
Yeah, so chest spawns are the worst enemy in this game because you don't get monsters, and if you don't get monsters, you don't get data drain attempts. You kind of did just like target.
And I did opt to kill the Minia because leaving that many dark witches alive with Heros around is just like whatever. And it was, you know,
right.
I mean, it
and
was
we
one chance.
So we want to invest,
Yeah, it's just kind of like, just go and show off the grinding area, why not?
Okay, so he rolled kind of low there. He got 616 rather than like a higher number.
So that was aforementioned one of the very few good. Please, yes. Okay, C's done. I remembered.
Okay. Well, we're still taking the extra area for B cores, but
we're still taking the extra area, but at least I don't need to go back into area for the C core.
Yeah, and that can just get messy because we could just like wind up never getting it, which is hilarious.
The only area I have found that is half decent for getting C core monsters is going back to Elk's area for A core monsters because you need the A cores and then all it does is throw B cores at you.
I don't hate going back to Quiet Eternal Night Devil. The outside portals on the field, if you can navigate with them, it's a fairy charm or whatever, do have 2 options for C-core enemies. So I don't hate that option, but it's not like they're still spread out. It's not good.
That C-core is scripted because I don't expect you to drain Woodstock.
Clearly. I felt that way.
That seeds the run.
I felt that way about Fire Drake for a while there. I mean, regardless, you're draining that guy because it gives you either a hat or a chest or a C-core, but, you know.
Yeah, so, this isn't particularly bad. I'm just gonna grab the one, for here, because I still have a chance to catch up on the rest of them.
Try for 2 if you can. I don't know like how many things are coming at you, but in the area which we unlock with this one D-core that we're getting, there's an enemy called I want to call him Living Dead, but I don't think he's actually called that.
No, he's not in this dungeon, he's in the next one.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The one that we're unlocking, with ores. Yeah, it's Living Dead, right?
Yeah, it's Living Dead. I'm just gonna skedaddle and hope the battle mode ends and then gate out. Because I got it. But I don't remember what all the wandering mobs in this area are, so it could be interesting.
Yeah. So
okay.
one of the things with battle mode on and battle mode off is you'll see battle mode off pop up, but until you get the mini-map, you can't actually gate out. So
yeah,
sometimes
it's a little bit annoying because sometimes during that short period of time you will get back into a battle and it's just kind of like, well, thanks game. Yeah, so there are theoretically, two more dungeons that I can get B cores out of. One of them is mildly consistent, the other one really isn't, and I should not be going for it, so hopefully I just get all 4 of them in Living Dead Dungeon, which won't happen.
I think I normally get 3 when I'm really trying for Living Dead.
I get free Treeman Spears, I don't get free cores.
I'm just luckier than some people. It happens.
I honestly think you're the only one who gets good luck out of Living Dead in that dungeon.
It's very
if you're not
possible.
Grinding for money.
Finn doesn't like them either. Like, I know that. Like, Finn doesn't trust me when I say that I get cores from them. So here we're looking for a cooked bile, as well as just trying to run through the dungeon as fast as possible. We're going to be using a holy sap and a cooked bile for the final dungeon, which is just going to make the dungeon go a lot faster.
There are plenty of chances to get it in this dungeon though, because we run these
Past a bunch of eggs, yeah.
Yeah, we run through 2 storerooms, I guess for lack of a better term, en route to the end of the dungeon anyway. So if we don't have it by the last one, we can just walk in and out of the room over and over and over again until it drops. Technically there are, I think, 2 dungeons after this one where we could also get a cooked bile, but this is just easier to... Yeah?
The next dungeon you're going to is a fire dungeon, so no cooked bile. And then the next one after that, I believe, is a Rue dungeon.
Meg's dungeon also has cooked bile in it.
Oh.
So you could theoretically get it there, but it's just, as mentioned, infinitely easier to get it here.
It's a short dungeon. Yeah, you've got the Rues on the way. Plus, she could go kill that warrior's corpse on the right corner there while waiting on the door.
At most, you just like end up with 2, and that's not bad if you die in Skaith's dungeon because you wouldn't have the elemental buffs as backup if you die in that dungeon.
Yeah. The buffs really do make that dungeon a lot easier. Just having the extra damage for both Menhirs and the Moot Guardians.
I mean, it's still terrifying, but it's slightly less terrifying. Alright, so this is another solid, maybe 2 minutes of just kind of not a whole lot, like tech smashing and menuing, but no actual combat or anything. So you've got to check emails. And then go to the area that we... Yeah. Then we go back into the area we went to with Orca right at the very beginning of the game and get an item from a dude called Bob. Because who starts an MMO and names their character Bob?
I mean, somebody has to, right? Otherwise, somebody else will take that name.
I mean, you're not wrong, but come on.
Bob.
There are better, stupider names to take.
Who names a planet Bob? Titan A. I don't know if that movie is actually well known.
I was about to say that reference was lost on me, but maybe someone in the chat knew it. Yeah, so he gives us a rare item that we can theoretically use, but 99.9% of the time we sell. Because it's just worth so much.
Yeah, if you have like way too much
I had a run in practice where I did use it just for the lols because I ended up with 40 major souls anyway.
Right. I'm not sure if I would give it to Pyros or Black Rose. I think technically Pyros makes more use out of it.
Yeah, I usually give it to Black Rose, but it's kind of like a either-or situation. And as mentioned, you know, you normally would just sell it, so it's not really something that there's a debate over. And when I have splits up, I specifically have this area named I do not need buffs here, because you do not need buffs here apart from the speed charm, and I keep forgetting that. I am down a Hunter's Blood though, so I will probably go and quickly buy one after this dungeon. I'm pretty sure I'm
You could do a large amount of your shopping now and just buy the Mage's Souls after.
Could do the majority now, you're right. Yeah, this area is kind of like the last kind of really not too slow area to get Acorn monsters in, but there's only one portal.
You could go the other branch from that portal, and then there's like a room at the end of that branch that has 2 portals in it, but they're all A-cores, so if you needed A-cores by this point, it might be worth doing, at least in a marathon route setting.
Yeah. A marathon route setting's the only time you would probably still be worrying
Or a
about
race,
it, honestly. Or a race.
So, Synrey almost took that symbol there, but as you saw, there were no monster encounters until
it's
end.
reflex at this point. If I'm in a marathon, I'm like, it's a symbol, it's safe strats, right? No.
Yeah, it's so good for you because it can give you like any number of buffs that are great, like Rigagine, which is SP regeneration.
And any number of buffs that aren't so great.
Yeah. And then you've just
they're not
wasted
bad,
a bunch
but
of
they're
time
not
because you're not
great.
taking another encounter.
I'm just having, like, the reason I'm not saying anything is just because I actually have to think about blood purchases.
Oh, yeah. Shopping and menuing is always, like, very, whatchamacall, very precise stuff.
It's the only shop in the entire game that's consistent is the first one, because after that, you know, who knows how much GP you have, how many items you have,
Which
yada, yada,
items
yada.
you have. You could have gotten like 13 headgear in, or you could get like 1 headgear and 12 other thing, safety shoes.
Yeah, okay, so this dungeon, can be dangerous. It's usually not. Like, it's very occasionally kind of mildly scary. I will be taking the extra portals out front, though.
If you
Seed chances.
run into too many living dead at the time, they can sometimes sneak up and like paralyze your entire group, and then that's scary. But most of the time that doesn't
Or
happen.
hellboxes if you're taking the outside portals.
Oh yeah. Those guys are annoying.
Speaking of which... okay, is that 2 living dead? No, that's a living hellbox and a living dead. Of course it is. The hellboxes only show up in the outdoor area, I believe. The reason they're really freaking annoying is because they, have skill drain and the chance to just confuse you. What confusion does is it just kind of, you automatically attack whatever the closest thing to you is. It can be either a party member or a monster, it doesn't really matter.
You do stay stuck to them for like at least
yeah,
one
you stay stuck to them until until they die, but I'm not entirely sure on that one.
There's some ways that they can reset you onto enemies, but I don't remember what those are. It might be because like you're stuck in place because you got attacked or something, but
it's weird.
Yeah.
Like if something used magic on you and I got out of range, you'd probably lock onto something else, but...
Charm is a very similar status effect. It does effectively the same thing, but you can't target enemies, so it's more dangerous. But it also has less time as a time. So, at least when it's used against enemies. I guess I haven't tried it.
I mean, if you get charmed on Red Worm, you're equally as dead, though.
Yeah, it's basically a paralysis at that point.
Okay, that's 2B. Not the auto-tomato character, that's just how many floors I've got. The problem with this dungeon is that, I think, is it the 3rd floor Living Dead stops spawning?
Probably. I don't remember what stops spawning. It's not baby worms. Baby worms replace whatever. So.
Speaking of baby worms.
Yeah.
The actual worst enemy in the entire game because they
I think
are
magic
C-core
is
enemies.
just use
You
like a ROM
should,
spell.
yeah, they're C-core enemies. You should be down on C-cores. They
have
spawn
like
in place
2,000
of.
health and no
They spawn in place
element.
of something that might actually be useful. They take far too long to kill. They're just really obnoxious.
Yeah, Living Dead is still here. It's the Valkyrie that must get
No, I'm
replaced.
pretty sure Living Dead can't spawn on the last floor. I've never seen
On
one
the
down there.
last... Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought I got the numbers mixed up then. But hey, 3 B cores in this dungeon. That's half
Yeah,
the
3
fun.
B
Stealing
cores.
my
I
luck.
needed 4, and I don't think I can get one anymore.
No, you can't. Well, I mean, you can off of the armored shoguns. So just
Oh, yeah, I
curious.
mean... Armored Shogun luck, though. I am not convinced that those things can drop cores.
I wasn't either. I did a run for Scrubathon though, like 1 or 2 years ago, and they gave me my last core, so it's possible apparently.
Oh, yeah. Alright, so, speaking of Armored Shoguns, this is kind of, well, I mean, that entire last bit is kind of the last stretch. This dungeon is the second scariest in the game. I mean, in a way it's scarier, because the Armored Shoguns, can spawn in groups of up to 3 and hit really hard, but it's also not anywhere near as long.
Yeah, you only have 3 portals as long as you don't like take
Yeah.
any extra. And a lot of the
It's-
time, you'll get a chest in one of those 3 portals.
Yeah, it's sometimes it can be incredibly terrifying, and sometimes it's just whatever. The area after this is the area after this. Hopefully it's not too bad, but if it's anything like my practice runs, it'll either be really, really good or really, really bad, and there's no in between.
What's the farthest you've gotten before your speed charm and buffs run out, Sydney, with the final dungeon?
With the final dungeon, before they ran out,
Before they ran out.
I've just flatly gotten to the scathe fight with them still up before,
Yeah, okay.
multiple times.
Yeah, that's
Most
where
of
I
the
was
time
going.
most of the time for me they drop on the last floor, but sometimes I've
Right,
gotten
1
all
or
the
2
way to
portals
scathe
in
with
a
them
lot of
still
the
up.
time.
Yeah. Usually around the last one. So that's...
I don't know
why?
dungeon, but it's probably correct considering armored shoguns.
Yeah, I just don't like taking chances. Yeah, especially as I mentioned, Armored Shoguns. Please, not Arcade, we're confused. We're all confused, this is gonna be interesting.
Well, Kite is probably going to kill everyone unless Black Rose kills everyone.
Mistral, thank you. Yeah, hellboxes are bad and we don't like them. The end.
I'd have Mistral Res of Black Rose though.
I got it. Don't worry about
Okay.
it.
I just saw you go through, you know, all the areas that can't have monsters without doing it, so I was... She could have had SP there. And then a baby
SP to use on what? A skill that will miss every hit anyway?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm gonna get a baby worm on the last floor, aren't I?
For whatever reason, Baby Worm is almost always the enemy you fight on floor 2. Like,
Yep.
I would say at least 50%.
I have not seen snappy grass in months on that floor. So we're gonna have to go and get the extra core.
Right.
Yeah, no, I honestly completely forgot Snappy Grass could spawn there. It has been that long since I've seen them.
Snappy Glass, the mages, and the armored shoguns, I believe.
You can get a baby worm there as well.
Yeah. As the other encounter.
I mean, 2 cores for grind, considering how bad it was looking for a while, isn't too bad. Considering you can get most of the way through the game with 1 or 2 cores of either type at most.
I mean, for a marathon or a race, this has actually been extremely good.
This is fine. This is fine. I'll just get back here. Thank you. Yeah. Even the level 1 enemies still count as an enemy, so you've still kind of got to get rid of them. If,
I mean, yeah.
you go for a drain. I mean, you could wait for them to run out of range, I guess, but I'm just gonna do one last bit of shopping here. Normally I wouldn't do it in this, yeah.
They actually actively stay at the very edge of it, yeah.
Yeah, normally I wouldn't do shopping in this root town, but I've got
It's
a few
just a
extra
very,
items,
very far
so...
thing, but we're going to log out anyway, so it's not that bad.
I might start a frost bracer just because I didn't end up getting the pure water. Okay. I'll buy a few more bloods.
You've got fishing gloves anyway, so the frost bracer isn't as
Well, I also
important.
I didn't get the pure water anyway, so. Alright, so we're going to the last dungeon now after a bit more menuing. The words for the last dungeon were posted on the board, but the mods beat us to it and deleted them, but we're friends with a ridiculously good hacker called Helba, and she archived the post and has sent it to us, so we got the words anyway. We still didn't explain the plot.
That's fine. Instead, I want to explain how you get rid of erosion rating, because I don't think I ever touched on it. So, despite what you might have heard on things like GameFAQs or IGN, you know, these super reliable sources for all things video games, you don't actually lose more erosion rating from solo killing enemies or killing with the last hit with an auto attack on kite. None of that matters. All that matters is you see an experience pop up happen, because losing erosion is part of the experience.
Yeah, it's in the same calculation.
So I just want to, you know, mention that here at the very end, because it grinds my gears whenever people say that.
Yeah, it's the FAQ I looked at when I was first doing a 100% playthrough of these games. It said that, and I was like, that seems a bit wrong, but okay, whatever. And then after speedrunning the game for a while, I was like, yeah, no, that's definitely false. There's no way. And I'm honestly glad for it, because this run would be so much more annoying if we personally had to kill everything ourselves.
Yeah, it would make it unbearable, honestly.
It's just, it would be terrible. So I just take that symbol there for safety. You don't need to take it. It didn't get me anything good either, because Pyros and Black Rose have up guns anyway. The absolute best things you can get there is Rig Same or Rig Game, which is SP regen and HP regen. Preferably SP regen, just because SP is the god stat in this game.
So what Finzenko used to do for that symbol specifically is not speed charm until she got that symbol, because that way your allies can keep up.
Yeah, I just wasn't expecting anything good and I was right, so...
I mean, yeah, symbols never give you what you want. It's a rule.
Confirm. Alright. Yeah, so if the sheer ridiculous number of buffs I've got on wasn't enough of an indication already, we're under level for this. Very much so. I forget what level the game wants you to be at this point, but we are at... I honestly don't remember which level. I kind of stopped being able to count what level I'm at off of SP after I hit level 20, because that's when I stopped worrying about it.
20 is 70.
20 is just 70 flat, yeah.
So you're at 76, now you're 79. So now you're 23. So the way that SP and HP works is each time you gain a level, depending on your class, you gain a certain amount of those stats. And for everything other than Wave Master, you gain 3 per level, and for Wave Master, you gain 5 per level.
So we we do, even though we're done with cores, we do kind of sorta want to be maybe looking at draining a few things in this dungeon. Miniers, because they're miniers and they're obnoxious, but also because they have 2 ridiculously good drops, being, is it Shikizoku? Like, I honestly, so Zeku? I forget how you say this.
Zeku, yeah. Zeku.
Yeah, which is the rare drop and a ridiculously good sword for Black Rose, or the Master's Axe, which is the common drop and still a very useful drop for Pyros.
It's not technically the best axe you can get.
Yeah, you can get the axe bomber from the crabs as well, but that's their rare drop, so 90% of the time you don't get it. And you also just want to be draining the Miniers because they have Resurrect, so they can just immediately resurrect any other enemies that have died. As basically as soon as they go down, it's nearly instant. And if you get a quarter with more than 1 Minier in it, there's a good chance you're just going to have to suck it up and, you know, drain a couple of things.
So the other problem with Axe Bomber, aside from just being rare compared to like Master's Axe, from a thing that we're draining at it anyway, is that the final strategy that we're going to be using for Skaith is to lock him in place through use of skills, and a lot of the time that winds up draining your Mage Soul count quite a bit. But
Axe Bomber is only really worth going for if you're sitting on a lot of Mage's Souls, because it eats through SP like nothing else.
Yeah, whereas using Master's Axe is a 10 SP attack that he'll use to keep Skaith locked in place.
Yeah, and he will go for the 10 SP still most of the time.
Right.
It's not going too bad. That Moo Guardian was a little bit scary, but we made it. And the crabs have paralysis because it's not an endgame.hack dungeon if there isn't at least one enemy with paralysis.
Status effects are, I think they're well thought out in concept in this game, but the actual, like, threat of them...
They're not balanced, they're kind of...
Yeah. Like, there was earlier in the game where Synrey should have been poisoned, like, throughout, like, an entire dungeon, depending on what the enemies cast.
Yeah,
and you just, like, never care to cure it, because it's only, like, 1 damage every 3 seconds. It's poison is completely worthless in this game.
Like, it's just pathetic. And then...
Its counterpart Curse also shuts off your SP regeneration, your natural SP regeneration, so like it's very important to get rid of that immediately, because it will drain your SP as well.
Something that I don't think we've touched upon is that sometimes if you input too quickly, the game reads it as a double input. It's really, really weird.
Yeah, it like clones your input. It's it can have beneficial uses, but it's
most of the time you're not expecting it, so it's just kind of mildly
Right.
annoying. Like the absolute worst thing that can happen with it is if you double tap while you're in the world login screen, sometimes you can log back in when you're meaning to log out. This is the aforementioned enemy that would have been nice to have.
Yeah, you could still equip
Cross
fishing
Racer
gears,
and-
though, because you need that anyway in cast.
Oh, I died. That was a high roll. That's
Yeah,
fine.
I think
I'm on the
Cobras
last.
have
I'm on.
critical strike.
Yeah, I'm on the last floor anyway. 90% of the time you have to rebuff down here anyway, so it's not too much of a biggie.
And your buff should last until the end of the
Yeah,
the
they were
game.
probably they were probably due to run out any second anyway. So it's, as mentioned, not too incredibly. Like, there are definitely worse spots to die in this dungeon. I would have not minded having Swirling Dark still up for this mob though.
So, another thing that I'm not entirely sure on is how the elemental hit formula works. I'm pretty sure it has to be based off of some combination of accuracy and your element. Or it's possible that it's also based off of the elemental weaknesses of the enemy. Because there are some occasions where it feels like it's a lot more common than others. Like against the Goyles there, the Menhirs.
There's definitely cases where it is just slightly more common to get it than others. It's kind of weird. Like, I guess against boss monsters they're relatively, well, not rare, but not guaranteed either. And then, as I mentioned, the Menhirs, you get it most of the time. Not all of the time, but, you know, it's weird. Alright.
And we're level 25 with 2 more portals? Yeah, 2 more portals. So we might even get level 26. Higher levels do actually speed up Scathe quite a bit, but getting those higher levels is not as fast as just doing it earlier.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, theoretically, if you get particularly, I think is it 26 or 27 that you can get a drainless Scathe fight?
27... You might be able to do it on 26, but 27 gets it way more consistently. Like, I don't think I see them on 26 often. But 27 or 28 should be pretty consistent for doing so.
Of course, if you're getting a level that high, you've probably wasted a ton of time
Right.
in just getting a level that high anyway, so any time save you would have gained is kind of moot.
And 24, as we said before, is okay for Scathe. It's just, like, not consistent.
It's not safe.
It's
You can
not
do
safe
it,
at
but
all.
it's not safe. Because if he high rolls you, he just kills you.
And Kite dying is honestly the worst, because Kite is just most of your damage. Because Kite more rapidly attacks than AI does. And also, something that we didn't mention throughout the run is there's a way to reset your attack animation every second attack or so.
Second attack, third attack, it depends on what swing Kite feels like using.
Right.
I don't know if Upbounds is actually useful here, but I just do it because it's reflex at this point. Alright. Scathe. If you guys want to explain what's up with Scathe for me, because I am going to be concentrating.
Okay, so what you guys are going to see is a lot of menuing, but it's probably going to be too fast to actually see. So Scathe attacks the closest person to him. A lot of the time that's going to be you as Kite, because Kite has the lowest attack range out of anyone. So then we have to spam items until we are full health, or the person who gets attacked is basically full health. Because any one of the red
He
cross...
two-shots everyone.
Yeah, he two-shots at everyone. Then there's the ground slam, and this pattern is completely consistent unless you stun Skaith, which is not something that happens often, but it happens sometimes, in which case he can sometimes reverse the order of his cycle. But he's going to do 2 cross attacks against the closest target, then he's going to use that ground slam, and then he's going to use Judgment. The ground slam and cross attacks are both physical damage, and this is why we so heavily invest into physical defense for Kite, because if we're missing even one piece of gear, it's really straining on both resources and possibly we just die.
Yeah, if we are level 24 or 25 without 4 pieces of physical defense to up gear, he basically just one-shots us 90% of the time. And if we don't have it, he does like 9/10 of our health in one swing.
So I just want to clarify for people in chat that might not know, Skaith does not do elemental damage at all. Like, I don't know if the fishing gloves paying dividends thing is just a joke, or if we're just talking about gloves in general, but Judgment is not an elemental attack. That is something that Finzenku thought at the very beginning as well, but we extensively tested that, because...
Alright, so Data Drain.
Okay, so Data Drain also happens on the closest target. It reduces your health to exactly half, or by half, I'm not sure, of your maximum health. And
I
then,
think it's exactly half. Epic status, so it drops your speed charm if you've got your speed charm up.
Unless that one misses, sometimes that
unless it misses, it's really weird. Yeah, again, but because Kite's got the lowest attack range, he's gonna be the one getting data drains 99.9% of the time. Another thing that's interesting there is that all of Skaith's attacks can technically miss.
But he does have just like 100 accuracy. And 100
Zed can back me up on this. My practice run yesterday, he used Judgment and missed all 3 of us.
It can happen, and it's more likely to happen with a skill like Judgment, because a lot of the time, skills actually have accuracy penalties. Like, almost all the time. I think the only skill off the top of my head that doesn't is or just the cruise line of skills. So back cruise or through cruise. I think those actually have benefits to accuracy.
Alright, data drain twice.
A little slow, but it's still fine.
Yeah, it's not. This isn't the greatest fight I've ever had, but alright. So this is where it gets a little hairy, in the sense that, oh boy. Okay, they're gone. That was scary. So yeah, explain this, because I'm gonna be focusing.
The second version of the Skaith, the Data Drain version of Skaith, isn't a boss monster, I think, technically, so it's not immune to, like, being locked down. So what we want to happen here is we want Black Rose and Heroes to stack all their skills in order so that they completely lock down Skaith and keep them, just locked in place so that we can continuously wail on it. Because as long as Skaith is locked in place, Skaith will take no actions. But even if a second of overlap does not happen, Skaith can do any number of things like run away or heal. And if he heals, then that's just like 400 more HP you have to do too. It's not that big of a deal. It just
90% of the time he goes for an attack though, and that would, time by the way, that would just kill us, like, because it's just instant, it's AoE, it hits like a truck.
Yeah, and if Skaith is running away, Skaith can also just randomly do status effects to, I want to say it's the closest target, but it might not be. It might be random at that point.
Oh, hey, sub 150, nice!
147.34. That is better than my personal best. That's better than a lot of personal bests.
My personal best is a 142.32, I think. I'm third on the leaderboard. Roy's got the record at is it a 138, I believe? So
I'm looking right now.
yeah, sub 150 in a marathon is ridiculous.
It's insane. Like, you shouldn't expect that ever. So that run right there would place you in 5th on the leaderboard. So yeah, like, good job. Like, I can't understate how, like, especially since we had to go to 2 extra areas to get the things.
Oh yeah, that's on top of core grinding, but everything else
exactly.
went so well that...
Yeah.
Yeah, so to properly validate a run, we usually let the credits play out and save the game to get our in-game time. If the stream wants to cut me, they can go right ahead, but I'm pretty sure I'm way underestimate, so...
Well, clearly what has to happen now is you have to do the extra dungeon.
Oh, I mean... But Moo's not here. Get Moo to do it. He's the one who actually routed the damn thing. I haven't done the extra dungeon in this game for like 2 years. Speedrun sign, oh my gosh.
Do it right now.
I mean, I have the DVD, I can go and get it.
No one's done it yet. You can be first on the board.
I can be first to get banned from Twitch for streaming a DVD.
I wouldn't say that'd be a first. Let's not do that.
I prefer not to do that, thanks.
That's why you go to any of the other streaming sites that don't police that as well.
But the thing is, it's a speedrun, you're meant to skip everything. If you skip the entire DVD, I think no one will notice.
Very possible. But they might delete
Oh yeah, I mean, you're right, I'd be able to take down the RPG Limit Break channel as well if I did that.
Yeah, there we go.
Shoot, Raikyo and Moo's racing the foot before it even begins.
Easy.
Alright, so this credit sequence is almost over, I think. I never actually watch it. I'm usually doing other things while this is going, so I only know what the last 2 slides look like. I don't drink coffee.
Wow, okay. Your choice of drink, then.
Do not do 100% runs of this game. They are... they've got the same issue that Bat and Kaidos does, in that to get true 100% you need to, like, sink an ungodly amount of hours into it.
It's, not as bad as it should be, but it is a minimum of a 60-hour run. A minimum, because you have to leave the game on for 60 hours to get the full completion for Ryu Book 1.
I'm still mad that that website is not just www.hack.com. It should have been. Alright, in-game time is... yeah, 1:48:02. Alright, so I'm done. I don't know if, Ghost or OC or whoever's in charge wants to, you know, send us packing now, but that was, .hack Infection. Thanks for having me, guys.